Hey team, welcome back to another episode of the Intentional Agribusiness Leader Podcast. This is your host, Mark Jewell, and today I am joined by Mr. Jordan Thiel. He's the U.S. Sales Manager at ATP, and I'm excited for this one. So, Jordan, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Let's give you the first question. What does it mean for you to be intentional?
Yeah, perfect. Let's jump right into it. So, intentional to me, I'm simple. It's to care, right? If I don't care, I've always thought this way. If I don't care, how do I get people to work with me and believe that I care, right? Um, Sales is one of those things where we're not out here to be I'm not trying to put anybody down, but to be that slimy used car salesman, right? We've got to get people to believe in what we do and what we want them to do. So if we don't care about what we're doing and we don't portray that, how do we expect others to follow us and do what we ask them to do every day, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's as simple as I can be with it. It's if we don't care, they're not going to care. We can't
Yeah,
ask them to. So,
I love it, man. Well, there's the age-old saying that nobody, uh, nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care,
yep,
right?
exactly. Yep.
So,
Yep. It's very true. And like I say, I've always told people that I've worked with and worked for, like if you don't care, your customer, if it's a person, if it's a company, whoever that customer is to you, they're gonna see through you. And you're gonna
mhm.
have a lot more walls to break down because you don't care. You're to use your word, right? You're not intentional about being there.
Yeah. Yep.
You got a lot of battles to
Have
fight.
you, have you ever found yourself in a situation where, and I think we all get here at different points in life, where it becomes a little bit challenging to care, right? Because we go through a tough time, right? Or you're just
Yep.
off, your rhythm is
Yep.
off, your routine is off, something like that. And, or you get into a role where it's just like you don't feel aligned, with
Yep.
the employer or whatever.
Mhm.
You ever find yourself in that scenario?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a big part about this is you know, to care. It's not like we don't, like you said, we don't all have bad days, right? So things happen, right? But yeah, it's not that you don't care, it's something else is trumping that care for what you do. For myself, it's the ag industry. That's what I care about. That's what I'm passionate about. But guess what? There's days that things are happening at home or something's going on with a family, or you know what? It's been a week that just been brutal. Like by Friday afternoon, that care level is pretty well diminished. But you got to find those things to rejuvenate yourself or get those burdens off your shoulders, as it were, right? And to move on and be able to breathe again and find what reinvigorates you to move on and move forward. And
Mhm.
otherwise, if you get to that point where that care is gone, there comes a time, and I think we've all been there in careers, that it comes to reevaluate what you're doing. And is it because it's a bad person or a bad company? No, probably not. It's your motives change and what you want to do in that period has changed, and that's okay, right? And that's to me, that's those are some of the best conversations you can have too.
Absolutely. But I think that there's so much, there's an understanding that I would love for people to come to, and it's an awareness around that sometimes when I reach these points of I feel like I've lost my give a damn a little bit. I've lost
Yeah.
that spark that I once had for the
Mhm.
role, people, the customer, etc.
Mhm.
Sometimes those are just growth moments. They're inflection points within our life where we are growing as individuals.
Yep.
And doesn't necessarily mean that you got to go get a new job or change companies. It can literally be now doubling down on oneself and maybe taking a few more books. You be more intentional for you, right? Make
Yep.
some investments in you. Go to a course, get some coaching, get a mentor. I don't care, like, but make that investment so that you actually can work through, get some help going through those growth moments. I've been through many.
Mhm. Yeah.
And being an entrepreneur, like many, because it happens
Yep.
faster. You're out here on your own, having to grow a business and going, what got you to the first 100 grand doesn't necessarily get you to the million, doesn't get you to the 10 million. And you have to
Yep.
become a new version every time you're getting there. Leading people is kind of the same way. So good. Let's talk a
Absolutely.
little bit about that. I know you're out there. You guys are adding to your team right now. You're
Yep.
growing your U.S. business. I know it's a Canadian company. what's working for you, or what have you seen that's working in the way of finding good people and being able to keep them?
Yeah. So talent is and will continue to be a major, if you want to call it, rub sore spot for anybody in people management. I don't, if we're in what we do in the ag industry or doing anything, right? I mean, you go to any fast food joint. I mean, I give kudos to anybody that's in a retail management mode right now. I mean, churn is absolutely incredible. Before, my last position before I left retail, I was working on some stuff that average tenure in a retail sales position. So this is in ag retail, is under 2.5 years now.
Man, that's not even enough time
Right.
to get your book going.
No, exactly. I mean, they say, we've all been taught. I mean, it takes 3 years to build true relationships with customers and grow, and
Yeah.
retention is under 2.5, like a little bit of a problem there, right? So, but to me, I've always looked at that as I like challenges. How do you change that status quo? How do you be that stable commitment for people, right? And um, one of the things that I've just lived by is I help my people, right? I'm not here to be that micromanager. I'm not here to put things in front of you as just tasks. If I want task doers, we can all build an expensive robot to do a task, right? Or make a call center to take in sales calls, right?
Yeah.
I'm here to help people to make sure they enjoy what they do and to remove their roadblocks. That's what I view my management roles are, is 90% of it is, if I can make your life better, you in turn will have a better career, are more likely to stay, and are more likely to make the company more money and be more successful at what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's removing those roadblocks. It's getting things out of people's way as much as you can. And I'd love to say that you can just take everything out, right? Just go sell. You don't have to do anything. And no, that's not the reality, right? But it's the little things, it's the annoyances, it's just making their life so that they don't have to do all the things that they shouldn't be on their plate, right?
Mm-hmm.
So keeping people happy in what they do as much as you can and being open about it. That's the other piece, I kind of mentioned before, is people do grow, and that's a good thing. Having that quote unquote open door policy to have that conversation, because, like you said, it's not that somebody needs to leave a job or a company. Maybe they need to take something else on to grow. Maybe they need to
Mm-hmm.
be a mentor. Maybe they need to take on some pricing things to understand more business situations, right? And having those discussions with people, to me, I found, makes them more likely to stay. Being more open about how to move them and help them grow and maybe grow out of the position they're in, they are more
Yep.
likely to stay where they're at and be happy with what they're doing. A little bit counterintuitive, but to
Yeah.
me, it works wonders.
I love it, man. It's a great take, right? Help your people, remove roadblocks. Just do your best to make it a great place to work.
Yep,
You know,
exactly.
and
Yep.
communicate. In communication, be in constant communication with people. You don't have to micromanage, but let them know that you're there and listening and doing the darn best you can. So good stuff, man.
Yeah.
What in a growing organization like yours, I'm just interested, are there any intentional efforts toward culture creation? What are you doing with your team to perpetuate that?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, is as much as that culture is that buzzword, and right, it's on, I mean, my goodness, just going through interview processes with bringing on new people, and it's definitely, I would say, everybody under 25 or so. I mean, it's one of their first interview questions back to me is, what is that culture, what's being done, all those kinds of things. So it's very much part of today's society, and that's a good thing, right? We're not out here to make more coal mines and just everybody comes to a job, stamp the time clock, and you are number 157, whatever. It's
Yeah.
But the culture thing is, again, it's built, for me, it's building trust.
Mm.
It's making that so that people can trust to come to me, that I'm going to do something about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the communication thing is absolutely at the top of the list, but it's also explaining what that communication means. Like, can I tell you every detail from every meeting that I have with our entire leadership team and blah blah? No, like that. There's some things we have to do, but if there's business things that affect you and your trajectory, absolutely, we're going to have that conversation. You know,
Sure.
so building that trust is a big piece, and then big thing for ATP, which I find really cool. One of the foundations of the company is the why, right? That's what we go to. That's what we teach our customers. You know, we're teaching that why behind the products that we sell, behind why we're there in their door, right? Besides just handing off another sell sheet or whatever. And to me, I need to take that to my employees too.
Mm-hmm.
Why are we doing this? Why are we making these changes? Why are we going this direction? Because if, again, we just tell people what they need to do and here's your marching orders and either do it or leave, the latter happens a fair amount. And it's really for no reason other than they don't understand the direction.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff, man. Well, let's learn a little bit more about you, Jordan. What's in your career? What's been one of those big challenges that you've had?
So yeah, I can. I've been a few, right? It's there always is, but I think to me, you come out a better person. Um, you know, one of the biggest things that just comes to my mind is I go back to my previous statement about trust.
Yeah.
So I took my first sales management role at, oh geez, 26 years old, I think I was. Um, did that as basically on an email to some leadership saying what the heck is going on. And then next day I had to sit down and said, well, you want the job? You really want to do this? And I said, somebody's got to do it. So, but taking that role on and earning the trust of now my employees, right? My team that were double my age or more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of these folks had 35, 40 years of tenure at the company. And now they got this young kid coming in and thinks he's going to tell them what to do. I mean, I remember my first week we had a meeting, went in right after our annual meeting. I brought in the whole sales team and sat them all down. They're like, yeah, you know, I had good relation. I'd worked with them for 6 years, right? I mean, it wasn't like I was a kid, but sat them all down and, you know, instantly once that promotion changes or not that promotion, that promotion comes, that nameplate changes, right? That email signature is different. People look at you different. People talk to you different. So sat everybody down. I sat them down and I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, I'm going to be honest with you. And I said, here's these things. Here's why. Here's why I offered to step up and do this. But I need every one of you to help me and help me learn along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And just setting that stage, you know, and I pat myself on the back a little bit for being halfway smart enough at 26 years old to say something like that. But it just dropping the ego, right? To me, the most unsuccessful leaders and even a lot of people are egotistical people. It's just, you got to be humble. And you know what? I don't know what I don't know. And I'm going to ask for help for those of you that have been here a lot longer than I have.
Yeah.
It's not a title thing. It's a humility thing. And I want to learn and I want to be able to help you. And I can't help you if I don't know what you're actually going through.
You bet.
Right. So that was one of the biggest hurdles, you know, earning that trust. But that road is difficult and you beat your head against the wall a lot of times.
Yeah.
But once you get to the other side of that, you've got some of the best relationships you will ever have.
Yeah, there's a momentum that happens on the backside of putting in what we in our work we call it the appropriate action, right?
Yep.
There's a momentum that you pick up on, and to get there, you get to go through maybe a year or five of challenge. But so I'm curious. I want to stay on that for a minute. So, because I know a lot of young leaders struggle with this. It's come up a couple times on the show before, and I know that we've really done a good job of dissecting it. So, what I heard you say is right. I sat these guys down and I said, "Hey, I'm going to humble myself before them and say, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm going to need your help to get there, but this is why." So I first love that approach, especially, and it's in line with what we teach, especially young salespeople. When we do sales training, we will teach a young seller to go out and have a conversation with a grower and saying something to the nature of, listen, if you were me at my stage of career trying to build a book of business with people like you, what would you do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, allow them to become the mentor.
Yeah.
Right? Because then they have a vested interest in seeing your success. That's a free one for you guys. Teach all of your young salespeople that. Like, everybody should do that tomorrow. Let them listen to this.
Yep.
And it works. That question
Yeah.
works if they have the certainty and the courage to stand in that conversation with their grower and humble themselves enough to say, I don't know it all, but I'm here. I'm motivated. I'm going to learn this. I'm going to stick with you. Right? What would you teach me? And then just do what they tell you. And that's the way. But I'm just curious, what worked for you in the relationship building and the leading? How did you earn the respect of these guys and gals that were, in many cases, probably twice as old as you were?
Yeah. I love that. And I am going to steal that one, Mark. I will use that on younger sellers, but,
That's for free. That stuff is free.
Yeah.
I would,
No.
I tell people this all the time. Like, listen, the training is out there. Like, you can go get all of the training that you want for free on YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not what you're paying me for. What you pay me for as a trainer, or pay my team for as a training company, is to get your people motivated to want to, and help guide them through the process, because they're not doing it. And that's why we're having a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah. We can all get anything we want in a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Utilizing it is different. Yeah, absolutely. But no, some of the things I did to earn that trust and that respect, a big part of it is the humility. The second piece is being there. And again, I'll go back to your original question, being intentional. It wasn't that I'd say that, hey guys, I want to learn from you, and then not actually take anything in. You know what? I'd let them call me on my fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few times that I did all procurement and pricing and a few other things too in that role. And I screwed up, I missed a program, I did, whatever. And I'd send it out to the whole company and say, guys, I missed this.
Mm-hmm.
This puts you guys in a bad spot. If you're having issues, call me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I will rectify this. And then some of those times, like, let me go with you to your customer, to your grower. I'll take the blame. Right.
Sure.
Because this was on me, this wasn't on you, and it puts you in a bad spot. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So just actually taking it and doing something with that feedback, or, with those call outs, because that's, to me, one of the worst things is we can take all that information and we can take the butt chewings and, everything that comes with it. You don't grow from it. You don't accept it.
Mm-hmm.
People won't take it. They'll stop giving it. Right. And now all of a sudden that culture has gone the opposite of what you wanted.
Yeah. Well, you let your ego get in the way, right?
Yeah.
Or if you let your ego get in the way, then it creates actually a bigger barrier between you and your team.
Yep.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
Just I think that probably the most popular book that's been recommended, we'll get to your book question in a bit, but the most popular book that's been recommended is Extreme Ownership by Jocko. And which is a great book. And just the concept, you can read the title and you get the concept, but the real concept of as you read it, like, it really makes the case for, like, if it's your team, doesn't matter. It's your team. You still have to own it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Ultimately, that responsibility flows up to you no matter what. And you have to own it, whether it's your mistake, their mistake, etc. And when your team knows that you have your back in the battleground, like, that matters.
Yeah. Somebody once told me, that moving from an individual contributor to a manager position is that hardest shift that a lot of people make. A really good salesperson doesn't always make a good people manager, because you now take responsibility for other people's actions, and you have to be willing to do so. And I took that to heart a number of years ago. And you know what? That's on me. These people are my responsibility. So are their actions. So if they're doing something incorrectly that we need to correct, that's my job. Or if they continue doing it, then that's also on me, because I didn't have the conversations that I needed to with that individual.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Now there's a watch out there for a lot of leaders too. And this is not my typical line of questioning. So I'm going off script here, Jordan, but because there's so much required ownership of intentional leaders, we can also sometimes put ourselves on an island, right? And we become isolated because while there's those things going on, maybe there's things the team doesn't know about going on behind the scenes. There's also, you have your own personal things that you're dealing with at the same time that they don't know about. And it can become a lonely place. I'm just curious how you make sure that doesn't happen for you, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe you're isolated.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens quickly, right? I mean, I don't think people realize it, but like, when you just keep taking all this stuff on and not letting anything out, it creates a cancer in a short hurry, and I've done it. I'll be the first to admit that I've done it. And you get to that burnout place really quick. But what I've learned in the last number of years is, again, it's okay to let some people in, and I go back to that talent retention is, what am I dealing with today professionally, right? That I can have somebody else take. It's not because I don't want to do the work. It's because I can't get the work done timely enough for my team. So who's next up? Who's willing to do some of these things, and who needs to learn from it, right? And some people are like, well, it's easier, it's just faster if I do it. Today it is.
Yeah.
The next 5 years are really going to suck for you if you don't let anything off your plate, because that workload's not going to dissipate. I guarantee you that.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
what's the long-term cost?
Yeah.
Of making that decision. Totally.
But then, the other part of it is being human. Have those conversations with your team. You know what? I've got really good relationships with, the team I have today that I'm still building. And then, some of my past people too, that like, I still enjoy talking to them about their family. Like, who's having kids, who's doing what, right? Is, little Johnny won what? Like, that's, you're a person, and that helps that island effect not happen as much, because they're invested in you as an individual too. And when they're invested in you as an individual, all of a sudden those mistakes are okay to happen once in a while, right? We can't just suck at everything we do, but mistakes happen. And guess what? They happen because you're a human, and people understand that.
Sure. Good stuff, man. I like it. What are you reading these days?
Yeah. So actually just picked up again, going back to Good to Great. Read it a number of years ago, and I just love that book. Grabbed it again off the shelf, just taking this role and building a team again. Just as we build this thing out. And just one of my favorite pieces from that book is not just the right people on the bus, the right people in the right seat on the bus. Right. And that's a big piece of the pie that I've always just kind of noodle on that a little bit, and just make sure you got people going where they need to go. And if they're not, again, it's not their bad person, it's not a bad company, whatever that mix is, we need to have a conversation, figure out what's next, figure out how to make your life more enjoyable at work and personally by what you come and do every day.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
great book. Been recommended a couple of times, and that's a good one, especially the part about getting the right people on the right seats of the bus. That's super important.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one that's really simple to me, and actually I just thought of it a couple of weeks ago when I was grabbing Good to Great back off, but as a sales book, is just Who Moved My Cheese.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I'm like I said, I'm a simple guy. I love that book, and to me it can be in a management position, but it's one of those things that I've always wanted to take it to a team and say, you know what, instead of a sales assignment this week, here's a book assignment. Just read this. I mean, it's going to take you 2 hours to read it, right? But just take a look. Think about how you're working with those accounts. What's next, right? So,
yeah, love it. Good stuff. I like it a lot. What do you do for keeping your energy up?
Yeah, currently just about a 2-year-old boy. That's what I do to keep my energy up. I run around with him. So no, it's to me it's family. It's number one. Even LinkedIn profile, whatever. I mean, husband, father first. That's what's number one. We enjoy the heck out of our time together. just came back from the cabin here this last weekend again. So just being together, making those memories and having fun. And then the other, on the work side, it's, again, I'll go back to the beginning. It's caring what you do. To me, it's a lot easier to keep your energy up when I don't dread picking up the phone at 6:30 in the morning, whatever it is. Right. It's kind of that natural. I'm motivated to do what I'm doing because I enjoy it and I want to see where this thing can go. So,
cool. I dig it.
Yeah.
I dig it. Who has been somebody that you've looked up to over the course of your career, friend, mentor, someone like that?
Yeah. Best one for me is actually, it's the guy I worked for in college. Gentleman. So college, SDSU, go Jackrabbits, but worked on a farm just north of town out there after started my sophomore year in school. Both him and her kind of became adoptive grandparents to me. So again, it was much more than a job. Wasn't just a farm laborer. Just became invested in that operation. That the first winter I was working for him, he actually fell and broke his neck.
Oh, wow.
So, so again, so what would have been 19 years old, they kind of sat me down and said, well, I can't drive. So you ready to do everything this spring? I'm like,
wow.
I'm here. I'll do it. I got some learning to do, but I'll
say
do
no
it.
to the guy with the broken neck. Let's figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm not. That would probably have taken a different path in life then. But
yeah.
no, but yeah, just great people. And again, keeping things simple. One of the things he told me from the very get go that he would never ask me to do anything that he wouldn't do himself. Wow. And just kind of one of those things that sinks in that says, you know what, that's a manager or a boss. Not that he's going to do it every day, because he did it for 50 years, right? It's not that he needs to do it every day, but he's going to show me what to do and not just expect me to do everything that he doesn't want to do. So, yeah.
Cool. That's great. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff, man. What for you is the biggest thing you want to go to work on in the next year?
Yeah. Big one for me is just with this role, doing a lot more traveling, being up in front of some larger groups, doing that. So myself, I'm working on public speaking. So
nice.
just being more active up there, being different, being somebody people want to listen to. We've all been to a whole lot of bad presentations. Where somebody stands up in the front of the room and click through a PowerPoint that has 85 words on a slide, and my whole goal is I work with a couple really good individuals that are phenomenal at public speaking is to emulate them as I go forward. And, the PowerPoint in the background is strictly a backdrop, right? I mean, what's coming up, but that's it, right? Everything else is pretty much off the cuff. And I think we can all agree that a presentation is a lot more impactful if it's approachable and you're actually talking with the crowd versus talking at them. So absolutely. Yeah, we banned PowerPoint from our training rooms about 10 years ago. Yeah.
And some of my facilitators are required to be good enough to go without any visual aids if they had to. We primarily use flip charts or marker boards or whatever we have available to us, but that's where we start. And it has to be like the nature. I mean, as a training company, like if the experience of training is not good, why would my customers want to come back?
Right? Pretty simple, right?
Now in corporate training, sometimes people get forced into training. And if I can perform the miracle of making people who got forced to go to training to be thankful that they got sent, then we've done something. That's what we built our brand on that, over the years. And, we can probably help out with the facilitation and the speaking thing, so we can talk off the call about that. But good stuff. What just last question to kind of bring this in. I think you're a good one for this. And we don't always have time to get to it, so we'll bring it in for a landing on this one. What role does vulnerability play in intentional leadership for you?
Yeah, big one. As I kind of stated, like I said, when I took my first sales job, right, I opened it up, or took my first sales management role. Opening that up to people I am humbling myself. it's okay to come to me with my mistakes,
Mhm.
so to me, it's huge. Again, it goes right back into what we've talked about here for the last half an hour or so. It's if I'm not vulnerable with my people, building that trust network is going to be incredibly difficult. If I'm not a human to them, if I am just strictly the guy that sends out emails and asks them where their numbers are and all that kind of stuff, why would I work for me? Right? Like, that makes no sense. So being, yeah, vulnerability is absolutely huge. To me, it's right at the top of with communication, right?
Mhm.
we we don't really get anywhere unless we open ourselves up. We open up the business to allowing people to have ideas, to bring stuff up, to have conversations, to allow people to move on if they need to, right? Like
Mhm.
that's what creates that environment that people want to be in and having
Sure.
those conversations. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, it's been really
Yeah.
good. Thank you for doing the interview and being on the show. A
Yeah.
lot of
Appreciate it.
here today. So how do we find out more about you, more about ATP?
Yeah. So no, thanks for having me first off. But yeah, so myself, just like everybody else all over the social media stuff, but ATP is so atpag.com. So like I said, really, really cool business, very, very prominent in the Canadian space and growing like crazy with our distribution partner here in the US as well. So it's we're growing. So yeah, if you reach out, we're looking for people in the South Dakota and probably as we move south too. So I'm looking forward to heading to Texas here in a couple weeks and like I said, take this corn and soybean boy and teach him something about cotton and everything else that's down there. So it'll be fun.
So having recently moved to the South, I have been learning about Southern crops like cotton and peanuts and tobacco, and it's very
Yeah.
interesting. So you're gonna have fun.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Again, let's go back to the beginning, being intentional and caring, right? So to me, it's a good day that myself and my colleague that are going down there. I mean, that's how much we care. Like we're going on this as almost truly exploratory to learn, right? And again, we're going down there, and with the people we're traveling with, our comment to them was, "We know nothing, teach us," right?
Yeah.
And the response we got was, "How many days do we get you?" Like that's fun, right? Like I want
Yeah.
to be taught and care about what they're doing. So
Cool. Beautiful, man.
cool.
All right. Good show today. Thanks for being on.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it.